Hello, Edith.
Hello, President Nava.
Yes, are we all in?
You are all in.
Okay, very good. Will the meeting please come to order? Everybody on the board is present. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen, for attending the meeting, and ladies and gentlemen, rather, we have no report from the closed session meeting. There's no items to report. We have some items, action items on our regular meeting here, special meeting. The board will consider summer school options and determine what to offer this summer school. I'd like to open this up for board questions and discussion. And I'd like to go orderly so we can expedite things here. We'll start out with Mr. Neely.
Mr. Nava,
Yes, sir.
I'm not wanting to say a lot on this because some of my colleagues have a lot more experience in summer school for high schools than I do. When this discussion is finished, I'd like to talk about a concept for summer school for some of our Title I schools and our young students who have missed a lot of school this year, and some ideas that we may help to eliminate that summer slump that so often happens. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and pass on to somebody else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Neely. Let's go with Mr. Heberly.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. When we're talking about summer school, there are a lot of reasons why students take summer school. Some for credit recovery, some for not credit recovery. It's so that they can take other courses to open up their schedule, to take other electives. Also, let's say this year, we do have a task force that's trying to look at instructional options for summer school. And, you know, that part of the instruction, I'm guessing, will be obviously distance learning. So I actually see this year's summer school as actually probably not being as expensive as previous years. And seeing as how this is a service to students, I am absolutely in favor of summer school, providing a full summer school like we did last year. And that's about as simple as I can make it. That would be my wish, that we would, again, provide summer school, a full summer school like we did last year. That's what I would look for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heberly. Mr. Porter.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nava. Welcome, everybody. I was a little dismayed to hear that summer school might be limited or even cut. I know that we have a task force that includes many admin and teachers that are very anxious to bring forth some of their ideas regarding distance learning. And I know that this will be a accountable class where they'll have to attendance and grading and so forth. So obviously the kids will have more buy-in than what we currently have going this fourth quarter. Plus, I look upon it as an opportunity for many students to take classes that they might not need or try to get out, not get out of, but like to get out of the way so they can take more electives. So I'm completely in favor of a full summer school, and that we heed the advice of the task force that is in place. And I have a little caveat to that. Lately, we have not followed the directions of various task force. And I would like to make sure that their voice is heard and considered, and we look at all the documents they put forth. So that way we have a clear understanding of what these group of professionals have done. And as far as us, the board, we are united in making sure that all students succeed. We also realize that high school is the only part of K through 12 where students have to keep a GPA in certain units in order to graduate. We also have special ed options for those students of that grade in high school that we have to fulfill. And the board realizes that we have commitments, even in these difficult financial times. So I completely would like the board to be unified in our approach that we offer a full summer school that covers all students and not just concentrate on 11th and 12th with credit recovery. Thank you very much, Mr. Nova.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Mr. Knaxak?
Thank you, President Nava. I spent a lot of time teaching at Lodi High School, and I taught a lot of summer school, and I always felt that it was very productive. And I could support summer school if it looks like it did in the past. I don't think I can really support a full-blown summer school if it's just distance learning only. And at this point, I think that's what we're talking about. Who knows what's going to happen in 3 weeks? But I would support summer school for the credit recovery and the AP courses as has been outlined in the past. But I'm not real gun-ho on a distance learning only summer school.
Thank you, Mr. Knaxak. Ms. McFarland?
Thank you, President Nava. I would also like to echo my fellow board members that I am in favor of a full summer school. I would like to have accountability and have it not just be a distant learning environment. If it is distant learning, I think the accountability and the grade and the attendance must be required in order to have buy-in. I do think if we are assembling task force in any way, shape, form, and we are using their knowledge and asking them for share their knowledge, that it needs to be considered. And we also need to understand that they are think tanks and that we value what these people on the front lines have to say and their experience. It doesn't mean we can always follow as a district to the level that's being presented, but I do think that the respect of their knowledge and their time needs to be warranted in these situations. And I want to thank my fellow board members for understanding that this is important and that we move forward on summer school.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. McFarland. Mr. Freitas?
Thank you, President Nava. I'd like to thank everyone who came out tonight. When I first came on this board, we didn't have summer school because of budget cuts. And this board worked long and hard to make sure that we had a full summer school that was effective and was helping our kids. So this is very near and dear to me, this subject. And I see summer school as a primary function of our organization. And for us not to have a full summer school is not compatible with my goals or this board's goals. So I am in full support of a full summer school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Are there any comments from the audience?
Yes, President Nava, we have two, and the first one will be Michelle Orgon.
Michelle, all right, get her on, Michelle.
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board. It was reassuring to just listen to some of your comments about summer school and the task force. We do wholeheartedly agree that each of the task forces have come up with some very unique things, understanding that we're using that as a guide and respect the work that they've done and given direction, and know that, you know, there may be some details to work out, whether that's bargaining or, you know, how that will all look, because they came up with some great ideas. I agree that in listening to the task force meetings, I think maybe it is important, the next steps, that a summary is sent to you so you do see the work that they are doing. As the association, we believe that, we have a limited amount for the Apex licenses for credit recovery, but definitely see the value in the summer school task force ideas of this collaboration, or different models of the distant learning and co-teaching in formats or classes that have already been approved, and they already have some of the materials online at their access. And some of these teachers are already teaching those classes now. So we've kind of got off to a good start with the fourth quarter, so these teachers can troubleshoot going into summer. But we believe it is vitally important that we do offer to all students. As Mr. Heberly pointed out, there's lots of different reasons that students take summer school, and we want to reach all of those needs. And I appreciate Mr. Porter's comments about we need to make sure that all students are successful. And sometimes that is giving them the opportunity to retake a course, to recover credit, to get ahead so they can take the electives that they want during the school year. So please consider full summer school for all of high school students. It was nice to hear Mr. Neely talking about intervention for primary. That is a discussion that has come up amongst Title I schools, since they've not been able to do that during break. So we would entertain that. We do know that the courses need to be rigorous, and we think with the models and ideas that we can go forward. We were quite dismayed by the letters that were sent out and the cancellations, but very happy to hear that the board is endorsing going forward with hopefully having a full summer school for our high school students. Thank you for your time and looking out with what's best for all students.
Thank you, Michelle. Another person for comments from the audience?
Yes, we have Lisa Wilkins.
Ms. Wilkins?
Hello?
Hello, you're on.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say, Michelle made most of the comments that I was going to make, so I'm not going to reiterate them. I do want to say to the board, it was very encouraging to hear that you support summer school. I've taught summer school, and I will tell you, it's just as enriching for teachers as it is for the kids. It's a great opportunity to make some real good connections with these students, and I think that's important in their education, is that they have a connection with an adult who cares about them and who cares about their education. And I think a lot of students right now are feeling really lost. They're not feeling connected to school. They're not feeling connected to their teachers. And we've got to do whatever it takes to keep them engaged. So thank you for your encouraging words about keeping summer school. And with that, I'm going to close my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkins. Anybody else?
No, that's it, President Nava.
Okay, before I make my comments, I know Mr. George Neely had some comments to make regarding interventions. George, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. I've been concerned since this began with our younger students in our Title I schools, that they come to us.
Yes, apparently there was a fire at one of our feeder elementary schools. They put a fire in the playground.
Okay. Are we okay now?
Go ahead, Mr. Neely.
All right. So I've been concerned about our younger kids at our Title I schools because they come to us already behind. And then it took us, let's be frank, it took us a while to get distant learning going. It's going pretty good now. We've done a lot of work on it. So I started thinking that, okay, we have these kids at home for 2 months. They've got their Chromebooks with them. They've got internet access now. What can we do to go ahead and start that learning going again and help avoid the summer slump, as it's known? Well, there's a lot that we can do. All right, and I don't know how we want to frame this. One way is if we're trying to conserve our funds, one simple way is there are plenty of things that we can put on our website for these kids to work on. Now, how do you get them to work on it? Well, I called up Sonia Rental, who is the VP over at Washington and at Lockford. And she's working on something. I found it really interesting. She said she was going to put together a package for her kids, and then they would like go to Dreambox, which those of you who are familiar with it know that it doesn't require anything other than a person going there and doing it. And there's another one that's reading. What's the name of that? Dr. Washer, do you know? MyOp or something like that? MyOn, okay. Yeah, and that's a program that helps young readers. They can read it or it can read it to them. So there's a lot of things there. We could also have videos and other things like that about math, maybe some of the Khan Academy, that kind of thing. And but again, how do you get them to go there? Well, Sonia had the idea that she was going to track it, and you can do that. You can see how much time they spent on these different things. And you can track that. And then for everyone who hit goals, they would go into a drawing, and there would be some reward for them for doing that. Now, that's a great idea. She's doing that on her own, buying her own prices and all that kind of thing. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if we could do that district-wide, and then maybe Got Kids could get involved in that with us and provide some of those rewards. So maybe it's not just a drawing, but maybe anybody who hits a goal gets a reward. It's not an everybody wins situation. It's everybody who meets the goal would get something. There's a lot of details to be worked out in this. But I think if we take the approach that this would be good for our kids, which I can't see that being argued with, if it would be good for our kids, why don't we look at how to make it happen? You know, instead of just saying, oh, we can't do it because of this, because not every kid's got access to the internet. Well, you know what? We're in the process of fixing that right now, and a lot more do. And those that do are going to benefit from it. And then we'll get to the others as we can. Now, there's the argument that, well, some parents won't support it. Well, okay, then, you know, I'm sorry for them, but we'll do what we can to get parents to support it. But what about the others? And I think we need to start this thing, and then let's make it happen. It's a great opportunity, and it may continue to grow into something else in the coming years. The idea of getting technology in the hands of our really young students to help them get prepared early during the summer months is not a new one, and there are other districts that are doing it. So I'm going to recommend that we try something like that, and I'd be awfully glad to hear your comments.
George, can we put this, Dr. Washer, is it too late by the 19th to have this on the agenda?
Nope, we can do that.
How about putting it in agenda? Maybe, I know because summer school is going to be, regular school session is going to end in pretty soon, and our next meeting is the 19th, and have some concrete things that maybe Sonia has for involvement and that type of thing. What do you think?
Sure,
Right.
we can do that.
And I'll try to work with a few people to put something together on that. We'd
All
have
right.
to have a few people being paid to monitor the progress of the kids. So there is a little bit of money outlay on it. And also we got to get Got Kids to agree with it. So there's a Got Kids meeting tomorrow, I think. I'll make that
Okay.
after my LEA negotiations and after my webinar with CSBA, then I'll do the webinar with Got Kids.
Okay, thank you, George. I think it's a great idea. All right, in my explanation about summer school, I'm already adamant about the wishes of the board because I think it's going to be an interesting summer school, a little different than it has been. We're going to have some students that are going to be focused on their learning, their credits, and so forth. And I think that the summer school task force can come up with some ideas as to how we're going to grade this and what's going to happen and the credits and the time that we need to have this. And I'm sure, as I know it now, it could be less students that we've had in summer school through distance learning than we had when we were in the classroom. So again, I am for it, and I know that this was a total oversight on our administration to actually get the wishes of the board, and I think that everything seems to be in a right direction, positive direction. We go ahead and serve these students that are in need of summer school and need of credit recovery. And I know Dr. Washoe will continue and have a great report on this and carry on. Now, it's an action item for tonight, so I need a motion.
Mr. President,
Yeah, Mr. Freitas.
I move that we have a full summer school for all students for the reasons everyone talked about here tonight.
A second.
It's been moved by Mr. Freitas, second by Mr. Porter, that we have a full course summer school presented by our board members here tonight. All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Nava,
Yes,
Nava.
question?
I do have a comment for the vote.
Yes.
I will be reluctantly voting for it because the concept of summer school is a good concept. But I'm still very concerned about how it will be implemented. But I've decided to err on the side of giving the new normal a chance. I'm just hoping that this becomes a successful program.
Okay, thank you, Gary. I will have a voice vote, please. Mr. Neely,
Aye.
Mr. Haberly,
Crickets.
Mr. Haberly,
Oh, somebody on this end of the computer turned the mic off. I don't know who it was. My vote is aye.
Mr. Porter,
Aye.
Ms. McFarland,
Aye.
Mr. Knaxat.
Yes.
I didn't hear it, sir.
Yes.
Mr.
He said yes.
He said yes. Okay. Mr. Freitas.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, board, for attending the meeting, and I need a motion. Excuse me, before we leave, Dr. Washer, do you have any words for us?
No, Mr. Nava, we have good direction. Thank you very much. We will get a communication out to everybody tomorrow and start working
Thank you
on it.
very much. Thank you, Dr. Washer. Have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Neely, motion to adjourn, second.
Mr. Porter, second.
Mr. Porter, second. Meeting will be adjourned. Thank you again for attending, board. Great meetings. We will see you on the 19th of May, unless we have something urgent to take care of.
And
Have a
Mr.
good
Nava,
night. Yes,
we wish all the mothers a wonderful Mother's Day this Sunday.
absolutely. Yes.
Mr. Nava,
Great.
Mr. Nava, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Since I'm taking minutes now, I missed who motioned and who seconded.
On adjournment,
Yes.
I seconded the adjournment. Mr. Neely.
George made the motion. Mr. Porter seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, have a good night, and we'll have a good Mother's Day. Make sure you present some flowers to your mothers, please. Thank you.
Have a Mother's Day.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Okay.